Travel back with us over 50,000 years to a world untamed and unforgiving. This is Earth during the late Pleistocene epoch, a land of extremes. Towering, ice-capped mountains pierce the sky, their jagged peaks shrouded in eternal frost. Vast frozen tundras stretch to the horizon, a stark canvas of white and gray. Below, dark and mysterious caves honeycomb the cliffs, their mouths gaping like portals to another realm. Giant beasts, woolly mammoths with colossal tusks, and saber-toothed cats with fangs like daggers roam this primordial landscape. The sky is a theater of raw power, where violent lightning storms rip across the heavens, illuminating the world in fleeting, brilliant flashes. Into this brutal arena, a new species arrived, early modern humans. Small in stature, but armed with a budding intelligence, they were not the strongest or fastest creatures. Their existence was a constant struggle, a daily battle for survival against the elements and the colossal fauna that ruled this land. For these early people, survival began with a single critical decision: finding shelter. The open plains offered no refuge from the biting winds or the watchful eyes of predators. So they began their search, a nomadic quest for a safe haven. We see them traversing vast and varied landscapes, their small bands moving with cautious purpose. They explore lush, dense forests where sunlight struggles to pierce the thick canopy, their senses on high alert for any sign of danger. They navigate winding river valleys, their feet sinking into the soft earth as they follow the life-giving water. They climb rocky mountainsides, their hands and feet finding perches on the cold, hard stone, their eyes scanning every crevice and overhang. Choosing the right cave was a matter of life and death. A cave that was too shallow offered little protection. One that was too deep might already be home to a cave bear or a pack of hyenas. It had to be defensible, dry, and strategically located near resources like water and game. Once a suitable cave was found, the real work began. This raw, empty space of rock and shadow had to be transformed into a home. It was an incredible feat of engineering, accomplished with nothing but brute strength, rudimentary tools, and sheer ingenuity. Large, heavy rocks were painstakingly rolled and stacked, creating protective walls near the cave entrance to break the force of the wind and conceal the inhabitants from passing predators. Animal skins, harvested from successful hunts, were scraped clean, treated, and stretched across wooden frames, serving as primitive but effective doors to seal off their living space. Inside, they sometimes erected simple support structures from thick branches, creating smaller, more intimate enclosures within the larger cavern. As fire illuminated the interior, the flickering light danced across the stone walls, casting long shadows and transforming a cold, dark hole into a sanctuary, a place of warmth, safety, and community. In a world dominated by ice and cold, staying warm was a constant, all-consuming challenge. The frigid temperatures were a relentless enemy, capable of stealing life in a matter of hours. Survival depended on a combination of clever tactics and resourcefulness. The most obvious defense was clothing. They draped themselves in the thick furs and hides of animals they hunted, stitching them together using bone needles and sinew thread. These garments provided a vital layer of insulation against the biting cold. At the heart of their shelter was the fire pit, a carefully constructed hearth that was the center of their world. This fire was never allowed to die out. They would also heat smooth, flat stones in the fire, then wrap them in moss or animal skins and place them in their sleeping areas, creating a kind of prehistoric hot water bottle that radiated warmth through the long, cold nights. They strategically blocked drafts and sealed cracks in their shelters, creating a buffer against the relentless winds of the Ice Age. After a long day of surviving, sleep was a precious commodity, a time for the body to rest and recover. But even in sleep, they were vulnerable. Creating a comfortable and safe sleeping environment was essential. They didn't sleep on the cold, hard cave floor. Instead, they gathered soft materials to create insulated beds. Thick layers of dried moss, piles of fragrant grasses, and heaps of fallen leaves formed a soft mattress that cushioned their bodies and lifted them off the damp ground. The most prized bedding material was animal fur. The soft, dense pelts of deer, bears, or woolly rhinos provided unparalleled warmth and comfort. Families would huddle together, their collective body heat creating a pocket of warmth in the chilly air. This communal sleeping arrangement wasn't just for comfort. It was a crucial security measure. Sleeping in a group meant there were more eyes and ears to detect the approach of a predator, ensuring the entire clan could rest more soundly. The hunt was the engine of their survival, a high-stakes endeavor that demanded courage, skill, and incredible teamwork. Their primary weapons were born from the world around them. Long, straight branches were sharpened into deadly spears, their tips often hardened by fire. Flint and other stones were expertly knapped into razor-sharp knives and spearheads, tools that were both beautiful and brutally effective. They developed ingenious traps, digging deep pits camouflaged with branches and leaves along game trails, or creating snares to catch smaller animals. Hunting large prey like mammoths or giant bison was a group effort. We see them working in unison, a silent dance of strategy and coordination. They tracked their quarry for days, reading footprints in the mud and broken twigs in the forest. Using hand signals, they encircle the animal, driving it towards a cliff or into a bog, where its size becomes a disadvantage. This was a ballet of risk and reward, where a single mistake could be fatal. So, what did our ancestors actually eat? Their diet was surprisingly diverse, a testament to their adaptability and deep knowledge of their environment. When the hunt was successful, meat was plentiful. They feasted on the rich, fatty flesh of mammoths, the lean muscle of wild horses, and the tender meat of deer. Cooking over an open fire not only made the meat easier to chew and digest, but also killed harmful bacteria, a major step forward in food safety. But they were not solely carnivores. They were expert foragers, gathering a wide variety of plant-based foods. They collected energy-rich nuts, sweet, juicy berries, and edible roots and tubers dug from the earth. To survive the long, harsh winters, they had to preserve food. Meat was cut into thin strips and dried over the fire or in the cold, dry air, creating a form of jerky that could last for months. This combination of hunting and gathering provided a balanced diet, giving them the strength and energy needed to thrive. Perhaps the single greatest discovery in human history was the mastery of fire. For millennia, they had likely scavenged fire from natural sources, like lightning strikes. But learning to create it at will was a monumental leap forward. It was a skill passed down through generations, a sacred knowledge. One method involved striking a piece of flint against a mineral like pyrite, creating a shower of hot sparks. These sparks were carefully directed onto a tender bundle of dry grass, fungus, or shredded bark. With gentle blowing, a tiny ember would begin to glow, smoke would curl upwards, and then, with a burst of life, a flame would erupt. Another technique was the friction method, rapidly rotating a wooden drill against a piece of softer wood to generate intense heat. The joy and relief that washed over their faces when fire was born was profound. Fire provided warmth, light in the darkness, protection from predators, and the ability to cook food. It was the glowing heart of their community. As their world grew more complex, so did their need to communicate. Before complex language evolved, they relied on a rich tapestry of nonverbal cues. Intricate hand gestures could convey complex ideas, the location of a water source, the size of a herd, or a warning of danger. Their faces were expressive, a canvas for emotions like fear, joy, and curiosity. They used a range of vocalizations, deep grunts, sharp cries, and soft calls, each with a specific meaning understood by the clan. Over time, these sounds began to coalesce into the first rudimentary words. Simple labels for the things that mattered most: water, fire, mammoth, danger. This emerging ability to share information was a powerful evolutionary tool. It allowed them to plan hunts more effectively, warn each other of threats, and most importantly, pass knowledge from one generation to the next. Communication was the invisible thread that wove their individual minds together into a collective consciousness. From these humble beginnings, something truly remarkable emerged: a community. Survival was no longer just an individual struggle. It became a shared endeavor. We see them gathered around the fire, sharing the spoils of a successful hunt, ensuring that everyone, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, had enough to eat. Adults patiently teach children the essential skills of survival: how to knap flint, how to track animals, and which plants are safe to eat. In the quiet moments, a different kind of magic happens. By the flickering light of torches, they begin to paint on the cave walls, their hands creating stunning images of the animals that dominate their world. These were not just decorations. They were stories, rituals, and perhaps a way to connect with the spiritual world. They were building more than just shelters. They were building a culture. As they stand together, a tribe united against the vast frozen landscape of the Ice Age, they are no longer just surviving. They are beginning to build a world.